Good evening, Hinton and Yellowhead County. My name is Sergeant Graham Gursky, your Chief of Police, and I'm so very excited to be with you this evening for our first town hall for our new year here of 2022. Joining me tonight is going to be the head of our General Investigation section, that's Corporal Ryan Jurgens. And a little later on, we hope to have here our Senior General Duty Supervisor, which is Corporal Holly Francois. And together we're going to provide you with end of year update as to our last policing plan, speak a little bit and hope to gain your feedback regarding our next policing priorities for Hinton and Yellowhead County. Hopefully offer you some crime prevention tips and awareness information, and most importantly, answer any questions that you may have this evening. And we're so very pleased to be here tonight to do that. I also just want to thank quickly the town of Hinton for enabling us to use this platform this evening to reach all of you, which is just wonderful. So we thank them very much. Hinton detachment is comprised of not just the hardworking, dedicated police officers that you see out on the street, but also behind the scenes, we have a group of office support staff, a victim services unit, as well as a Corps Commissioner guard group. And together, it's all these individuals behind the scene that really enable us as police officers to provide the services that we do to you. So I just want to also thank them, mention them here this evening, because without them, we can't do what we do. I'm going to head in right to the end of your summary for our policing priorities for this last year. And just to give you a little background to that, the RCMP's year and our priority plan runs April 1st to March 31st, and that's in line with the federal government's fiscal year. So that's why we're speaking tonight, is just to give you an end of your summary of how our priorities did in this last fiscal year, and which is going to lead us into our next fiscal year and our next community policing plan and our priorities identified by you, our residents, stakeholders, community groups, which is going to be the issues and concerns that you've brought to us of what we will focus on as your police service in this next year, which we are honored to serve here in Hinton and Yellowhead County. So we had three main priority objectives in this last year. Number one, and again, these were all identified in conjunction with the community, was traffic safer roads. We wanted to aim to reduce collisions both in Hinton and Yellowhead County. We were hoping for a decrease of 10%. Unfortunately, last year we actually saw an increase of about 9%. And this was primarily in the town of Hinton. We had a marginal increase in Yellowhead County. We would attribute this to primarily two things. We saw a very high traffic volume increase with the Open for Summer plan last week. From the year 2020 to 2021, we saw a very high increase in visitors, kind of the resumption of normal tourist traffic, vehicle traffic volume, out-of-town guests in the town of Hinton and through the town of Hinton. That, in conjunction with some quite adverse weather events that we had throughout this winter, led to a series of a couple of days and a week or two where we had a very high number of collisions. That's not to say that this is not a focus and continues to be a focus of our team, though. We conducted over 25 different specific check stops, traffic safety initiatives, and that ranges from specific targeted enforcement, whether that be from speeding in the problem areas such as Highway 16 and McCarlo Drive, which is a notorious speed zone and speed concern zone in the town of Hinton, to distracted driving, to impaired driving, to seatbelt restraints, to pedestrian safety, you name it. We focus on all those activities. So we did over 25 of those dedicated enforcement events. And that's us alone, the Hinton detachment members, the people you see, the members you see here every day. But we also do that in conjunction with our partners here, the town of Hinton, our provincial partners, our other county partners, with Yellowhead County, as well as Alberta Sheriff's and the Edson Integrated Traffic Unit. So I want to thank them all for assisting us with that as well. We're going to continue to focus on traffic safety and really hammer home safe, proper driving, safe etiquette, to try and bring those collision numbers down as we head into this next community policing and detachment performance plan here. This is a concern that I've heard from you, that I continue to hear from our partners and stakeholders. And we're going to continue to focus on that and attempt to bring those numbers down, especially here in the town of Hinton. Our second main objective in this last year was the reduction of crime, specifically reduction of property crime theft. We hope to have a 10% decrease in thefts. And a little later, my colleague here, Corporal Ryan Turkis, is going to speak a little bit more in depth about this specific objective and initiative. But in general terms, in August of this past year, in the summer months, we had a group of about 5 or 6 individuals in town here who were very active in committing thefts and property offenses for about a 2-week period at the beginning of August. In August of this past year, we had a very steep rise in theft-related crime in Hinton. We were aware of, and we knew who these offenders were. My team focused on eliminating and removing them from the community. We did that through continued checks, enforcement, proper thorough investigations, and also utilizing a variety of other partners and investigative techniques and attempting to remove and deal with these individuals in the community. So pleased to say that after August, our detachment was successful in removing this core group of 5 to 6 individuals who kept causing us repeated problems and who were really bothering the citizens of the town of Hinton. So from that point, we had a steep increase, but I'm pleased to say we're finishing the year at about a 1% decrease overall for Hinton detachment. If you break that down, we have a marginal increase in the town of Hinton of about 4% in thefts, and that was largely due to the majority of those offenses, the 5 or 6 of those people who kept committing those offenses over the 2 weeks in Hinton. They kept getting released by the bail system. Our members would put these individuals up, try and get them remanded, and unfortunately sometimes some of these aspects are out of our control, but I'm pleased to say that were eventually removed. In Yellowhead County, we actually saw a 27% decrease, which I'm very pleased to see. And what we're going to continue to do moving forward is focusing on this, and that's our intelligence-led strategic crime reduction strategy. It's about focusing on who the problem offenders are in Hinton. Enforcement, prevention, if these individuals need help, if there's something like a substance or an addiction that's causing them to keep committing property-related offenses, we want to help them in that sense too. We get them the help that they need to move on and get out of the criminal lifestyle. We focus on individuals, problem areas, crime hotspots. This is all based on our intelligence, and that our members are out, that they're patrolling smart, strategically, that they know what areas to focus on when they're hitting the road and they're leaving into detachment. So we conducted over 345 condition checks on individuals in this last year. We've conducted over 1,525 hotspot patrols. And I'm very pleased to say we actually conducted 9 different search warrants this last year, ranging from property crime, drug trafficking, impaired driving, a wide realm of offenses that our members were able to conduct warrants for, retrieve, and lay multiple dozen charges for those offenses. Part of the highlight of that this past year, we had a joint detachment, general investigation section, Alberta Law Enforcement Response or Alert Team, 2-week project here in the summer. And we leverage our partnerships and our wide law enforcement breadth and our partners to really use a variety of different methods and strategies to affect that crime reduction for the town of Hinton and Yellowhead County. And that project was a great success. Dealing with drug traffickers in Hinton, we had 5 individuals charged, multiple offenses, multiple property, cash, drugs recovered, and more poison off the street that doesn't need to be in the hands of our youth or vulnerable people. And we're going to continue focusing on that going forward as we head into this next year as well. And our last main objective is the visibility of your police, of us, that we're out, that we're engaged with you, that we're connecting in our schools, that we're connecting with our citizens, with our community. And we try and get out into the community as much as we can. And that's been our third focus, main policing focus in this last priority year. One of the focuses, of course, was to conduct these town halls because they're just such an effective way of speaking to you and answering any questions that you, our clients, may have. We did conduct 2 in this last year. This is going to be our first for this new plan, and this is something we will continue to do moving forward because we are, after all, your police service. We're here to serve you and to answer your questions or concerns. We had a goal of to conduct proactive Yellowhead County patrols to be visible in our rural areas, and this past year we conducted over 1,219 Yellowhead County patrols. And we have found that in conjunction with our joint forces operations with our partners of Yellowhead County, the Alberta Fish and Wildlife, Alberta Conservation, our traffic partners, our CM Police partner here in town, leveraging and really working together for common public safety goals of prevention enforcement have been such an effective model, especially during our busy times of May long weekend, August long weekend, our summer months. Not just that, but some other periodic, sporadic weekends for the summer. We've utilized this model of joint law enforcement presence, and it's something that we're going to continue as we move forward this year as well. And lastly, as we just get back into the town of Hinton here, as it relates to our 5 schools and attending events, community events, whether that be Canada Day, Remembrance Day, National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, our friends of the Hinton Indigenous Friendship Center, the rec center, just being out with youth in their playground, being in the schools, presenting with some prevention tips about, say, cyberbullying, safe dating tips, so items like that. Our members are engaged throughout all aspects of our community. This past year, we've actually held over and participated in over 110 different events, meetings, school events, and that's something we'll, of course, continue to be a part of and participate on moving forward as we head into our next priority year, which is, like I said, begins April 1st. And just another couple quick highlights here. Hinton has actually a very positive momentum as it relates to intimate domestic partner violence. Those rates are actually down 18% in Hinton, which is really positive to see, and something that we want to press, and hopefully that trend continues going forward. This process of formulating this, the issues identified by you, our citizens, our stakeholders, the people that live and feel and reside in the town of Hinton, the county of Yellowhead, that Hinton Detachment is responsible for. We believe in engagement and communication throughout the year, not just at this time of the year, and that's something that I hope to continue moving forward. And this is something that we have used, and it's something that we directly bring your views and your results and your feedback to formulate our new policing priority plans, which begin April 1st, as I mentioned. And a lot of the trends and a lot of the items identified by you, our residents, by our stakeholders, by our community groups, people that I talk with every week have mentioned that you want to see us focus on and continue to focus on that traffic safety, especially in our problem areas. Highway 16, McCardle Drive, Carmichael Lane, speed's been identified as an issue, pedestrian safety on Switzer Drive and Pembina, Gregg Avenue speeding. We're going to continue to focus on this moving forward into our next priority plan here for Hinton Detachment. That crime reduction, the property theft item, and that relates to general thefts from motor vehicles. We will also focus on that moving forward in this next year. And we will continue to prioritize being visible, being engaged, being out in our community as much as we can. We're going to continue to focus and conduct our weekly foot patrols in all areas of Hinton, in the hill, in the valley, in rural areas. We plan on being out as much as we can, as engaged and as interacting with you, our residents, as much as possible. And that's our goal. Our overriding 3 themes here for this next plan, which is set to begin April 1st. I'm now going to turn over my presentation here to Corporal Ryan and jury. It's just kind of just give a little bit more in depth in relation to our crime reduction theft goal here. Like I said, he is the head of our RCMP General Investigation Section unit, our plainclothes section, which is essentially our targeted crime reduction specific focused unit in the town of Hinton in the county of Yellowhead. And I'm going to turn that over to my colleague Ryan right now.
Thank you, Sergeant Gursky. In October, I had the privilege of participating in the virtual town hall. I'm pleased to be here again in a new year to talk a bit about the Hinton General Investigation Section and the work that's been done. For 2 years, I've led the Hinton General Investigation Section. Our work involves drug and serious person crimes investigations, but we will pitch in and help where we can. We are part of the Hinton detachment team. We work hand in hand with the general duty members. Our purpose is to maintain a high level and quality of investigations to minimize the harm and impact that crime has in our community. Word on the detachment property crime and theft reduction strategy. Teamwork is critical for sustaining law enforcement success. Like any good team, effective property crime and theft reduction strategy requires a coordinated approach. At the Hinton detachment, we use group-led enforcement, intervention, and prevention activities. We strive to understand the root causes of crime. We focus our efforts toward prolific offenders and hotspots. We remain committed to decreasing criminal activity and minimizing the harm it causes, and utilizing an approach that works best for our community. Our coordinated approach is 5 parts. The prolific offender initiative, hotspot checks, intelligence-led investigations, condition checks, and education. Most crime is done by a tiny portion of the population. The spike in theft stats in August, mentioned already by Sergeant Gursky, is a good example of the impact just a small handful of people can have. The goal of our prolific offender initiative is to work with these people to stop that cycle of offending. Each month, based on information from our criminal analyst, detachment members are assigned prolific offenders, and our members engage with these people to encourage them to seek the resources that address their underlying issues such as mental health and drug addiction. If those participating in the initiative are continuing the cycle of offending, and this is often because they're not addressing their underlying issues, continue with conventional law enforcement strategies. Like the prolific offender initiative, hotspots are intelligence-based. Property crime stats are mapped out. Every 2 weeks, these are analyzed. Affected areas are designated hotspots. Detachments members then focus on those areas. The intention is to disrupt the cycle of offending in affected areas. Our intelligence-led investigation initiative is collecting intelligence and nurturing a culture of intelligence gathering and sharing amongst detachment members, and most importantly, to use the information gathered for results.
Right, we have to just take a break, just announce a break. Just take a break, sure. Technical, yeah, just announce a quick break.
I saw the finish line there from me.
Just be right back. Just announce on, just tell the crowd.
Okay, we're having technical issues. Okay, welcome back. When offenders are facing charges, they are sometimes put on conditions. Condition checks are a vital way of preventing further harm to the community. This initiative is to ensure detachment members are aware of their requirements regarding condition checks. That information regarding condition checks are up to date to monitor progress and ensure compliance. Education. When it comes to crime prevention, I like to say we're all in this together. Education and information sharing is important. And in part, this is the purpose of this live stream. In October, I spoke about some of the things that we all can do to prevent property crime. It will be summer soon. This means more people out and about, walking by your car, your house, your shed, your yard. Consider that some property crime is a crime of opportunity. And so with this in mind, keep your bikes out of sight and locked up. Record your bike serial numbers and photograph your bike. And this will help us identify it as stolen if we see someone pedaling around town with it. Keep your tools locked up and stowed away. However, if you keep your tools in a place such as a vehicle or in a work site, take photographs of them, and again, where available, record their serial numbers so that if we do recover tools, this will help us identify them as being stolen. Keep your car locked. Avoid leaving anything of value or with personal information in your vehicle. And do not share vacation plans or when you'll be away on social media. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan, for that. I'm going to just talk a little bit now about fraud, because March is actually Fraud Prevention Month. And the theme this year with Fraud Prevention Month, and this is something that we too receive reports on throughout the year here at Hinton Detachment. A lot of times these investigations can be complex and very difficult to resolve, as a lot of these offenders are not in Canada. It's very difficult for us to reach them. So the very best thing that we can offer you, our citizens of Hinton County, are just some basic prevention tips when it comes to fraud. And fraud, a lot of these offenders are using impersonation tactics to pose as trusted sources to either steal your money or your personal information. And there's really 4 common themes of impersonation fraud. And one of them is called crypto investment scams. And that's a fraudster will pose as a friend, a family member, someone like that, that's going to offer you easy investment opportunities to make very high returns. It almost sounds too easy, sounds too good to be true. It probably is. These are more often than not, fake investments. If somebody's offering you higher than normal or too much returns, this should raise a large alarm bell in your head. Investment scams of this nature were actually the highest reported scams based on dollar loss in the year 2021, this past year. Many of these investment scams involve Canadians investing in cryptocurrency after seeing a deceptive advertisement. It involves you downloading a trading platform, transferring this cryptocurrency into the trading account, and then, of course, you're not able to withdraw the funds after, because it is a fraud. Variations of this include the romance scam, which turns into an investment opportunity, and other fraudsters who will pose and use social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, for instance, to target friends with investment opportunities that are fake. So just some basic tips that you can prevent yourself for that is always just research the group or the team behind the investment opportunity, analyze its feasibility. Like I said, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. And there's ways you can verify if this is a legitimate investment of a real business, whether that be through the Alberta Securities Commission. There's a tool also called the National Registration Search Tool. And these are very simple tips that you can just run a quick check and see if this company or these people actually exist or not. A couple other common scams are extortion scams, emergency grandparent scams. And these two are similar in the sense that somebody's posing as either a relative or a government official or even a police officer who will, for instance, call you. They'll say something like your social insurance number is compromised, or if they're a grandparent, they're in trouble overseas, whatnot, or they're from the Canada Border Services Agency. They will either demand money or they'll say, press 1, you need to access some type of information to set things straight. If anybody calls you, you don't recognize it, or this seems like a very odd call, they want you to press something, this should also set off alarm warning bells in your head, because this is something that no official government entity, whether that be CBSA or the RCMP, will ever ask you to do. I know that within the past year here, fraudsters have even used our phone number to attempt to get people to press access financial information. We don't do that. That is false. That's fraud. Never enter into that kind of arrangement. Somebody's asking you to do that on the phone. And there's what is the last common, really common fraud scheme in Canada is the phishing scam. That's where somebody's going to email you some type of fraudulent message with a link. Usually it's going to want to, what happens is when you click on the suspicious link, it will oftentimes your personal accounts, your personal computer will be infiltrated, and the fraudster will have your information. It's very difficult to get it back from that point on. And a lot of times these emails, whether they appear to come from your bank or, for instance, Apple, Samsung, they look legitimate, but sometimes just take a second, really look at the email, look at the bottom. Does it look like this is an official email from your bank? Is it something that your bank would ask? Because a lot of times banks will not ever ask you for that information over email. They're not going to ask you to set your account straight by clicking the link. This is all fraud, so beware if you get any of these types of messages. What's really important for us as the police and your Hinton detachment here, even though it might be difficult to apprehend some of these offenders who are overseas, it's very important that we know about it, and reporting fraud is so key. It's estimated that fewer than 5% of victims actually file a fraud report, especially with our partner agency, which is the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. It's very important that if you are the victim of this, it happens. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's important to let us know, both here as your local police service and the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. Of course, call us, let us know here, your local detachment. But also you can call 888-495-8501, and that's the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, or visit antifraudcenter.ca. And even on that website, it has a wealth of information about prevention, about common scams, ways that you can protect yourself. It's really just as much as possible recognizing, rejecting, and reporting suspicious fraudulent activity. And it's just important for us as your local police to get that information out there in the hopes that we see less of these victims as this next year progresses. We don't want to see anybody taking advantage of Hinton or Yellowhead County. I'm going to move on to something actually that is exciting and ends tonight. Today's the last day for the Name the Puppy contest for the RCMP. That is for 13 new German Shepherd pups that are going to become RCMP police service dogs that will be born this year. And every year that we ask the youth of Canada, our young people, to submit some name ideas to name our future RCMP police dogs. And every year the letter changes. The names focus on a different letter, and that rotates as each year goes on. So this year the letter is R. If you are between 4 and 14, if you live in Canada and you have a 1 or 2 syllable name, like Rusty or Rex or something like that that starts with an R, you can enter the Name the Puppy contest, which actually closes today. You can go to our website, rcp.ca, and submit a selection. And there are prizes for this. Winners can be announced April 13th. What you could win, if you're between those ages, is a laminated 8x10-inch photo of the puppy that you named, and some other RCMP apparel, and of course also the privilege of your name being one of our police service dogs as they enter our service in the RCMP, which is very exciting. So if anybody's that age, I encourage you to go and name the pup, which is awesome. Really exciting time of year for that. In the same realm of protecting our youth and offering some tips for our youth here, I'm just going to offer a couple of quick tips about interacting online, both for youth and for parents. And that we just want to ensure, and of course we have had reports, a few reports of this in the past year, of safe internet safe online conduct of our youth here in Hinton and Yalva County. And there are actually specific laws that deal with the protection of youth and certain things that can and cannot be done online. So for youth, it's just sometimes strangers, they go online. It seems like you're kind of entering into a fun little harmless chat. But sometimes these, of course, have negative consequences. You don't know who's on the other end of the computer. Sometimes, unfortunately, these are predators and criminals who are trying to take advantage of you. It's just important, if you can, it's good to have a good time, search what you want to do, have fun on the internet, but do it in a safe manner. Don't give out too much personal information. It's important to be vague. If you're thinking about meeting anybody that you met online, if you're thinking about meeting them in person, always ask your parents' permission first. Make sure you have someone with you. And that's, of course, for your own safety. You have no idea who the person is that you're chatting with on the internet. It's important to know, too, just some general advice. If you're posting something online, once it's there, you can't control who that's shared with. It's very difficult to remove something sometimes, some pictures. So just keep that in mind, too, when you're sharing your personal information, your personal photographs. Sometimes criminals can take advantage of you and of those things when you post them online. If somebody is making you uncomfortable on the internet, let somebody know, let your parent know, call the police, it never hurts. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right for our young people when you're online. And just for our parents tonight, just some general tips too. Let your child know that you can always talk to them. You'll always be there for them no matter what, whatever they see. If you have any other question online, social media is so much a part of technology, so much a part of our youth's lives these days. It's here. It's important to just be aware, educate yourself, know how the platform works, and just to work with your child in relation to their use of that. Learn how they're using those platforms. Learn how your child is using the internet. It's important to set some personal boundaries and engage with your young person on the safe internet use, like I said. And again, just have that talk with them about the dangers of posting information, personal information like where you're from, your school, your picture online, because sometimes, like I said, that can be taken advantage of by predators and criminals on the internet. And another thing that I mentioned earlier is Hinton, Yalva County. We have such a great, wonderful area, lots of fun and outdoor activities that you have throughout the year, especially now that it's warming up as we enter spring, summer, fall. We see that increase in ATV use of boaters on the river, on our various lakes through our great area. And I just want all you to know that we will be out and about throughout the year as well. We actually conducted our first joint Athabasca River Patrol this past summer in many years, and we plan on doing that. We plan on being out back out on our lakes, Jarvis Lake. We'll be out on RCMP ATVs throughout our areas, throughout Ruby Falls, Canada, and our rural area. We also plan on holding our Joint Forces multi-agency initiative, more weekend enforcement for prevention and enforcement as the year goes on. So just some tips with that, because we often get here at Hinton Detachment calls of stranded individuals, whether that be in rural areas or near the water. It's just important to have some good safety tips when you're going to recreate outdoors and enjoy all that our area has to offer. And they're really, really quite basic, but they can go a long way. Of course, if you're going to operate something like an ATV or a boat, don't do drugs, don't drink. These are criminal offenses, and they really, of course, hamper your cognizant abilities when you're operating these equipment. Your safety is adversely affected. Don't drink and drive, don't do drugs when you're operating ATVs or boats. You always want to wear a helmet when you're operating an ATV. That is law in Alberta. Obey all rules, including insuring, registering your ATVs. Be aware of your surroundings, where you're going. Have a plan, have an emergency kit. Be cognizant of the weather and your surroundings, like I said. And most very important, let somebody know, whether that be a family member, a friend, where you're going, what the plan is, what time you're departing, what time you expect to return. All this information can go a very long way in the event that you do become stranded. get lost, when your relative or friend reports to us, the RCMP, who will of course launch a search operation to come and help you. It's just very important that we have this information. And we hope that everybody does have a safe and wonderful outdoor recreation year here in Hinton and Yellowhead County. And the last point that I'm going to get to here tonight for everybody, and it's something that I mentioned last time too, but it is a great time if anybody is interested in becoming an RCMP officer. We are recruiting, we're looking for new members. We will, and we can take members, prospective applicants on ride-alongs. Again, we had a couple come out throughout the summer, prospective students. Some came out actually several times. It's something we would welcome. So if you're interested, I mean, get a hold of us. You can call me directly at Hinton Detachment or come stop by and see us. I'd be happy to talk to you. If you're interested in applying, it's a great time to become a RCMP officer. And in fact, there's a virtual career recruiting event happening this Monday, March 21st at 6. And that's a bilingual event. It's going to be run by our K Division RCMP recruiting section. If you want to register for that, you can call 877-726-7422 to learn some more information. Or like I said, just come by, stop and see me here at Hinton Detachment. Or any one of our members would be happy to speak with you. That essentially wraps up the first virtual Hinton Town Hall for the year 2022. I'm very pleased to provide this update, to meet and engage with you, our residents, directly and virtually. This is such a great way for us to receive feedback and present and just inform you of what's happening in town and what your local police service is doing. And it's something that we look forward to throughout the year. But it doesn't stop at that. You can get a hold of me at any time throughout the year by giving me a call or just coming to see me, like I said, at your Hinton Detachment. I'm open, accessible, and we're going to be engaged and focused and committed to this plan as our next year starts April 1st. I look forward to continuing to work hard and to achieve these objectives with our hardworking Hinton Detachment members as this next year progresses. And we're looking forward to our continued service. We're honored to serve you as your local police, all members here of Hinton Detachment. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time tonight to watch this and to listen to us. And like I said, thank you to the town of Hinton for running this tonight. They're great partners. Thanks as well to the county, Yellowhead County as well. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.